He wakes up this morning as one of only 3 men in 135 years of baseball to have 2 wins and 3 home runs in his team's first 10 games. Monty Ward did it for the Gothams in 1883. And I wonder what his tobacco card is going for. But that is not why I invited Keith Oberon to join me here today. Even if you know, please tell me, what's Monty going for?
A nice 1887 Monty Ward is worth about $40,000.
All right, good enough. Shohei Ohtani's worth a little bit more, even though for 3 years, and we'll talk about this, is playing for the minimum. This is astonishing what we're seeing, and he's not from Hannibal, Missouri, and he's not out to defeat the Senators. But what impresses you the most? And we assume he still has his soul intact. What impresses you the most here?
Yeah. It's unprecedented, even counting Babe Ruth, Bob. That's what impresses me the most, because Babe Ruth was transitioning in 1918 and 1919 from an everyday or every fourth day pitcher to an everyday player. And it went kind of back and forth because the Red Sox weren't sure how to use him. And it was a very controversial move in 1918. So to compare him to Ruth is fine statistically on a season to season basis. But for sustainability, if he is able to do this or anything like it, or even just hit 275 and win 14 games for the Angels, we haven't really seen anything like this in baseball since pitchers pitched from 50 feet and they had just legalized the overhand pitch. There was a guy named Guy Hecker in 1886 who won 26, 27 games for Louisville and won the batting championship as a platoon first baseman. So they call him the Japanese Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth, that's insufficient for a comparison.
You know, and I mentioned Tim Kuhn, who has an outstanding piece in the next edition of ESPN, the magazine. He talked to a Major League international scouting director for a franchise, and this director said, "I'm not saying this lightly. He has the stuff to be the best pitcher in baseball history." And I know men have gone bankrupt and destitute predicting greatness among pitchers because of the fragility of the human shoulder. But he said this, and we're not disabused of this notion yet.
Well, here was the concern in spring training, where it looked like he was not having enough time to concentrate and prepare both physically and mentally for the pitching appearances. I'm beginning to think that was a deke on the part of Ohtani and the Angels to make all of us look bad by saying, no, this is, once again, you can't, nothing against him, but you can't have a two-way player. The circumstances going forward, we now have to worry about, having seen this, and essentially in those first 2 starts, he did pitch a perfect game. He retired 8, the last 8 he faced in his first start, and the first 19 he faced in his second start. The major concerns now are health. Presumably he'll get rest because he's not going to pitch every 5th day. But the long-term concerns are, how do you use him in the postseason, presuming the Angels get there? And by the way, if he hits 3 home runs and wins 2 games every week, they're going to get there.
Yeah, and of course, there's the other concern. He continues to bat left-handed and throw right-handed, and that raises some safety issues down the line. Let's talk the green stuff, the dead presidents. He could have waited a couple of more years and made a much better deal. He's here on the minimum for at least 3 years, which says to some people a great deal about character.
Yeah, and also, to be fair, there are so many other marketing opportunities available for him. I mean, you talked about what Monty Ward's baseball card was worth in 1887, or what the card is worth now. The 2018 Shohei Ohtani cards, including the ones with autographs on them, are all going for 4 figures or more. He's got a signing contract with one card company. He's got other contracts coming. So there's a lot of outside income coming his way. So he won't get shortchanged in the deal short term. But yes, the idea was, he now pretty much admits that he wanted to play for the Anaheim, Los Angeles, California Angels, and he was willing to take his chances and bet on himself. And I would have to say, even though the sample size is still 1 week, I think he's, barring bad health, I think he's won his bet.
Yeah, 23, my gosh. All right, a lot to talk about in baseball. I'm glad you're here today. Yesterday, in St. Louis, we saw a bench-clearing brawl sparked by a confrontation between Arizona skipper Torey Lovullo, the Cards all-star catcher Yadier Molina, kept apart by Tim Timmons in blue. Lovullo apparently said that Molina's rep was getting him strike calls he shouldn't. He used the hyphenated 12-letter descriptive towards Molina. Here's the manager of the year who knows already. Yeah, you can figure it out. I'll mail you later, and don't use it in Scrabble. Manager of the year who improved, 24 games for Arizona last year in his rookie year there, who comes out of the dugout, knows right away that's getting him run, and then invokes that term. He's got to know he's lighting the keg there.
Yeah, the first word that came to my mind when I saw that happen was the word baiting. I think he was trying to get Molina off his game in whatever way was necessary, including being on the wrong end of a punch if it was going to be something like that. If you get Yadi Molina out of a game, the whole point of Lovullo's complaint was that his framing of pitches is so well respected that he does steal strikes and causes an umpire strike zone to change and become very elastic. And if you could get him out of the game, why wouldn't you do so? I mean, it's kind of an extreme measure, and I don't think Molina's calmed down yet, and I don't think he should have. That could not have been an accident. The man was standing 5 feet from him when he called him when he did the. When he asked about his mother.
Along. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what was the greater offense, the word or the pants, the trousers on the Diamondbacks uniform? All right, let's move on to another topic, and it's Trevor Bauer. Lost a 1-0 game on Saturday, 8 innings, 3 hits, and then he teed off afterwards on that strict between innings clock, which can limit warm-up pitches. So he calls it BS. This is the guy, of course, who had a little problem with a drone, who in the offseason threw a 3-ounce baseball, 117 miles an hour at a radar gun. But he's saying someone's going to get hurt here.
Well, it's possible that somebody's going to get hurt here. On the other hand, those the time between half innings in baseball used to be 90 seconds. I don't think there's a serious concern for it unless you're Trevor Bauer, who is, to his credit, is always there for an interview and is always going to say something you don't expect him to do. But I don't know how seriously I'm going to take somebody fearing injury when he warms up by running full force towards the mound, then jumps up on top of it and throws a pitch. He may not be the one who gets injured. It's possible that other pitchers are going to get injured, but so far as we've seen, the umpires have been a bit flexible on the subject, particularly of pitchers coming in and not getting enough warm-ups.
And we saw last night in the Mets game 2 back-to-back intentional walks with 2 flicks of that finger. Keith, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.